Back. NFL Week 3. We got CFL Week 3 and Week 3 of the podcast. Moody, my man, how you living?
Usman, how are you? I'm good, man. I'm good. Happy to be back. Happy to get back on the field tomorrow.
Listen, we'll talk about your new nickname in a little bit, but welcome to the pod. I'm excited to have you on. A lot of things we got to talk about. I got a little introduction for you, which is, you know, you're the CBL Retro Commish, the Niners GM, the owner of the mystery van, Frank Moody, the man with the most friendliest smile that brings random strangers to play football games for him, Mr. Moody himself.
Hilarious. Hilarious. I accept almost all of those titles.
All right, good. So, today we'll probably dive into a bunch of things, and I'll give a quick overview of it, and then hopefully we're able to touch on all those things, right? So I want to talk about your CBL role. I want to talk about what's going on in CBL. You're the perfect person to represent that. I want to talk about the Niners with you. I want to talk about some CFL history that you've got going on. We'll touch on some last week's recaps. I know you weren't there. I'll fill that void for you. And then we'll talk about some game day previews for tomorrow. And that's really what we're going to get into. But before we do all that, why don't we talk about this clock management situation
Oof.
that the Eagles versus the Falcons, all this stuff comes into play on the field. I know this is flag football, but last week I had Shu on and we talked about like the quarterback skills, what the tangibles are, what the intangibles are, what makes a good quarterback. There's a whole other aspect to it. Once you get into like the playoff game or you get into tight situations, you got to know how to manage the clock. And I guess people have different strategies, but you can see it in the NFL too. So, the Philadelphia Eagles, 3rd and 3 with a minute 45. Atlanta has no timeouts, and they chose to go for the first down. I get it, but they chose to pass the ball, and because they didn't complete the pass, the clock stops, and now Atlanta got the ball with a minute 40 on the clock, right? Versus what could have happened is they run it right up, and let's say they don't even get the first down. They were on 3rd and 3, say they get a yard or two. Now they can burn another 40 seconds off the clock. And if they really wanted to kick a field goal, then I wouldn't have kicked the field goal anyway. I would have gone for it because then you're eating up a little bit more time because it's already a 1-point game, right? And then you kicking a field goal at that point, you went from a lead of 3 to 6, but then you gave them so much time. But anyway, messed up. They completely messed up. Everybody knows it. But it's a strategy. You gotta be aware of the situation, and clock management is so important. What do you think?
So here's the thing there. It was a failure on so many levels. First and most important, you gave them 40 seconds. Time
Gifted it
is
to
your
them.
only enemy in that situation. The only thing you can't do is give them time. Secondly, that offensive line was dominating all night. They were getting push. The defense was tired. Saquon could have walked for 2-3 yards.
Fact.
Third of all, 4th and 1 for your team is automatic. Automatic. So all you really need is 2 yards to go for it on 4th down. And here's the thing. Should Saquon make that catch? Yes. 100%. And it's not his fault. That is a play calling failure on every level. It's insane. Whether it's Kellen Moore's fault, whether Nick Sirianni should be overriding and say, run the damn ball, it's inexcusable. For me personally, I was playing my good friend Josh in fantasy, so when London caught that touchdown, it gave me the W. So in that aspect, I was pretty happy about it, but it was terrible. You can't let that happen. You just can't.
Oh, yeah, no. The clock management, right? It comes back to we've been in situations actually we played against the Niners last year at some point. I know Dre was the quarterback, and it came down to I think you guys could have iced the game, and he ends up throwing the ball out of bounds. I don't recall the details of it, but my team was definitely mentioning it today too. But yeah, guys out there that are playing, now we're in week 3, things you need to be more aware of. Now you know your team. Now you know who can catch the ball, who can't catch the ball. Now you got to start paying attention to clock management. Also, I talked about the coin toss situation last week with Shu, and I'm on the field standing right next to Shu, actually. He was reffing the game. And after the coin toss, there was massive confusion for one of the teams. And I think they chose the wrong call. Like
Ugh.
they chose yeah, so you have
Here's
four
something I
options.
think. Here's the problem I think happened last week. You broke it down beautifully. You gave every option. Here's the stupid guide to it: defer. You win the toss, you defer. If there are hurricane strength winds so bad you just know your quarterback can't throw into them, which in that case maybe shouldn't be your quarterback, then you think about taking the field. Other than that, defer.
So there's levels to this, right? You deferred. You did the right thing, you deferred. Now, the other team, what are they doing?
You take the ball. You never want to not have the ball both halves.
So they have to take the ball.
Always.
You get what
100%.
I'm saying? So if they're like,
Always.
yo, so the guy won the toss and he's like, yo, we defer because he was probably listening to the podcast last week, right? So now the other team, they're like, oh, we'll play defense.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
doesn't work that way, right? So that's
No,
the
no,
trap.
no. You're right. There's two steps to it. That guy
So
missed the second step.
he missed it. So now, if they go out and they basically give the winning team, the coin toss winning team, the ball, they get to play defense. Now, second half comes around, and now that team that won the toss can choose to take the ball again.
Yeah.
This is the last time I'm going to help you guys. You have four options. You win the coin toss, you can take the ball. You can you can play defense. You can defer your decision to the second half and make the other team make a choice, or you can take direction. Direction is going to come into play a little bit later down in the fall when there's
Yeah.
wind and snow and there's all these other factors.
Yeah. When we get into the weather, that's the only time you would consider it. Even then, it's
I'm hearing the jerseys are going to be here tomorrow, so
yeah. Absolutely. Everyone's jerseys will be here tomorrow. They're ready to go. Farouk has them in hand. Don't have to worry about that.
nice, nice. And I know there's we've been floating around the idea of um, eligibility requirements, roster lock. I know there's
Yeah.
a four game, at least what I'm aware of right now, there's a 4 game minimum for players to have played at least a half in each game to qualify for the playoffs.
Yeah,
And
so as we organized it, it's an 8 game season. We think to qualify, you should be at least at half of the games. So playing, you don't necessarily need to be playing, you need to be present. I have a Nafi on my team. He has a wrist injury. He can't play. He showed up to the first game. He hung around for a half. Everyone saw him. I took a picture for you, AZ, and this way we know he's eligible. Sometimes you're injured, you're not feeling it, you don't want to play, but if you show up for your team, you're there, that counts.
see that picture.
I told everyone. I made everyone take a look at him. I was like, look, you see that big guy? He's there. It was in the
Uh,
rain,
was
and he
he
was there.
in the car in the parking lot?
When he got there,
All right, I see where this is going, Moody. All right, so look, this is perfect, right? Because this is what we've been talking about, and this is what we think is going to get implemented, and you can tell me more on it. The proposal was that to avoid all this later down the line, let's make sure that halftime, the captain or the referee that is reffing the game comes over to the sideline and they get the team together for a team photo and they drop it in the chat with the league and everyone goes about their business and everyone that's playing has met their eligibility criteria for that game.
yeah, absolutely. It's really easier for everyone. It's going to make things a lot simpler. It's going to avoid any arguments either way. No one can say, hey, your quarterback was in Pennsylvania because you have the picture right in front of you. And we avoid any conflicts. Right,
Uh,
Usman?
right. So who's taking this picture? Uh, is the
Uh,
captain
we're
responsible?
the captain is just responsible to the ref will take the picture. The
Okay.
captain is responsible for making sure his whole team that is there is there to take the picture. The
Okay.
ref's job is simply to take the picture. The captain's job is to make sure all his team that is there is in the picture.
All right. You
We
heard
don't
it.
want to hear after, well, my guy was there, he was in the bathroom. No, 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 no. Your job as captain is to say, hey, everyone stand here for 2 seconds while this guy snaps a photo.
We got Moody on record, laying down the law. Let's get it.
Absolutely.
All right. That's all I got for what to expect, right? But now let's talk a little bit more about you. Um, you're I like I said in the intro, right? You're the CBL commissioner for the retro division. Tell me what's CBL, how many divisions do you guys have? And I want to know a lot more from directly from you about CBL retro, the type of talent that we can expect, and how the season went or is going.
Yeah, so CBL Retro is, in my opinion, and I'm clearly biased, I think the best basketball product that Crescent has. Crescent came up on basketball, it's what it's most known for. We still are running 3 divisions. Retro is the one I run. We've run it for, I think, 5 or 6 years now. You know, Crescent, it started with these brothers like Farouk and Wakas and Gohar and all these guys playing ball. And we're all competitive. We play football with each other, you know? You bring a guy, this guy brings a better guy, and all of a sudden you got a floor full of D2 players and European guys, and those guys who started the league get pushed out a little, you know what I mean? When I came around, I was playing in the elite division, and after a couple years, there was no shot I could play there anymore. So, you know, I've known these guys since I was 16 years old. Crescent started in 2006. I started coming around in 2008. And I was like, Farouk, you know, all these guys who I really liked and I thought made the community really what it is have kind of been pushed out and don't really have somewhere to play. So Farouk was like, yeah, we need to start something that brings these guys back in the fold. And he asked me if I would run it. He knows I care about Crescent a lot. I really do. To this day, I've never played for another league. I won't even mention their name, but I won't do it. I'm Crescent loyal, and Farouk knows that. And he asked me if I would put it together, and I told him, Farouk, I'd be happy to. I like all these guys. I have respect for them. They're my elders. I respect them. And overall, they're just good people. So I started Retro with the goal of the community first. I reached out to guys like the Husseinis, Ruzzy, I've known for many years. Guys like Muzhafiz ended up coming on board. And yeah, Retro's been going strong since then. It's a popular product. I unfortunately have a very long waiting list. I can't fit everyone in right now. But we try and expand with the goal of keeping the brotherhood together and the community together. We just actually wrapped up our season last night. We had a bit of a hiatus before our championship. My team was in it. Unfortunately, we took a tough L. But the team that won, Brother Riz, who's been around forever, and his team representing the late Brother Guhar, got the chip, and I couldn't be happier for him.
Season is over, huh?
Just ended last night.
And you had another heartbreak.
Listen, if I don't have heartbreak, I don't have anything in my Crescent career.
You're starting to build this reputation of being the heartbreak kid, and that's not from a heartbreaking perspective. It's getting a heartbroken perspective.
I'm the Buffalo Bills of Crescent sports, man. I don't know what to say. At one
So-
point, across 3 different sports, I was in 5 straight finals, and I lost every one.
oh my God,
I'm not kidding. Softball, football, basketball, 5 finals across 3 sports. Didn't take home a single chip.
that is wild. All right. So CBL community, I guess retro, let's speak about that specifically. I do like the idea that you guys put forth, right? Because realistically, even now, we're going to start seeing it in our CFL as well. So you start off, you're like, let's just get a team together, a couple of guys want to play together, right? But then you run into other teams that have talent levels that are superior, right? And now if you want to win and you want to compete and you're not okay with losing, you got to kind of go out and kind of some players that are a little bit more athletic and can, are better than your roster, like the guys you started with, your day ones. And that's a dilemma, right? I want to play with my day ones all the time, right? But you can't keep a team happy if you keep losing. gotta go out and so you gotta get this balance, right? So like right now, like every time I see Farouk talk about like he's talking about AK as AK being like this the dominant superior team. They're a heck of a team, and I know that, right? But they're not bringing in guys like they. I guess they're just blessed to have guys that are on that team, are their what seems to be like their core team, and they're not really bringing in outside guys into their crew to play, which is commendable. But then you got like the Caliphs. Like I don't recognize half the Caliphs than what they were last year, right? Then you got Niners that have been. I feel like they've been the Niners since day one, right? And then the Ballers. We mostly have been the same team since day one, give or take. Last season we added a couple guys because we had to kind of get competitive. We had Yash and we had AK teams and we had Johnny Blaze over there fucking killing everyone. Sorry, but so we had to step it up too because I was losing the locker room, and that's the balance. And then I guess that's what makes your divisions that you've created, like the retro divisions, just it should just really just be about just go out and play and have fun. So I respect it.
Yeah, 100%. I've always called the CFL product elite for a reason. You know what I mean? People bring in their guys. I'm lucky enough, like you said, my Niners teams, 80% of them at the beginning, basically 90% of them, they're just my boys I grew up with. I mean, no one believed me for a while, and then Akib needed a ride one day, and he's like, what do you mean everyone's coming here? I'm like, what do you mean? Jonathan lives in that building, Esteban lives here, Josh lives right there, I'm down the block. When Crescent started, 90% of my team lived within a 5-block radius. It's like,
Alleged,
and that's what
alleged.
legitimately, I'll take everyone on the neighborhood tour, no problem.
Yeah,
29th Street produces a hell of a lot of football players.
yeah, because I couldn't find 6, 7 guys on within a 5 minute radius of me to come play football.
All right, no problem.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to post the baby pics.
All right, good. We
I'm
need
gonna
to
have to
see some
post.
evidence.
I'm gonna post the middle school photos.
All right, all right. So
And then
let's
what happens also is people make connections. I have Nafi on my team. That's not because I need a ringer. It's not always nice to have Nafi, believe me. But Nafi's one to play with my guys like Jonathan and Josh forever. They're boys at this point. You know what I mean? They have the same friend groups. We chill. Other guys, they see how the Niners run. We're all boys. They come to me. They're like, hey, you need guys. We'd love to run with you. And that's what happens. And that's really another part of the community I really enjoy. You meet new people. You make new connections. It's great.
I hope Nafi is watching this, and I'm gonna go on record and say it's not a big deal. I haven't seen Nafi on the field, so you just been scaring us with this Nafi thing, but we haven't seen Nafi put out teams. We haven't seen him put teams to bed like he used to in a while. So at this point,
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to save this clip and I'm going to make sure we schedule our second game against you later in the season when he's healthy. And I'm going to make
listen,
sure he actually doesn't see it till right before that game.
no, you need to send it to him now, right? Because all I hear is he's got a wrist injury, he's got an ankle injury, he's got a lot of excuses, but I don't see him on the field. So
Listen, when
I'm
you're
just
six
saying,
seven and you go down hard.
seems like seems like you're just trying to save that secret weapon for the playoffs. Like you're just trying to get him eligible, and then you're gonna spark him in there during the playoffs.
You
But
can't keep someone who's 6'7" secret. I got news for you.
all right, fair, fair. So tell me more about the Niners team. Niners have been around since day one. They've been a steady core team and a heck of a team. They're always competitive when they show up, right? The only hurdle is like them showing up. Tell me more. Like who's on the team? Who's the quarterback? Who's good? Who's not good? I want to know about the team.
So again, it's not a joke. We all grew up together. We were all in the same block. Most of us went to the same middle school. Even when we bring it, like last week, we brought in Max, who played a season with us for quarterback. He went to high school with Josh. We've known him forever. On the team this year is our quarterback is Esteban. When Max showed up last week, he let him rock as QB, but Esteban's our solid QB. And he's the season 2, I believe, MVP, so people know what he's about. He's a baller. He's quick. He's a super athlete. He's got a cannon for an arm. He played college baseball. So we know what he can do.
So
Josh,
is he gonna make your team, or is he just was he just there to
Max,
yeah? Because he's good.
Max was just here.
Oh,
Max was here this past week. He's on the roster. He's a stand-up comedian. So
okay,
stand-up comedians make their living on the road on the weekends. So he's not always in town.
okay.
So if he can make it to 4 games, he'll come and he'll run with us. But we don't know that that's a possibility. So we'll have to see. But either way, Esteban's our quarterback. We're gonna stick with him. Josh is well known. He's been around since season one, dominating since season one. He's also won an MVP and a DMVP. In my opinion, best receiver in the history of Crescent football.
Oh wow, that's a big claim.
I make it, and I've made it for a couple years already. Yeah, I mean he's big time. He's gotten a little older. He's a little more frail than he used to be, but in a big moment, there's no one I want over him for sure. Who else? We got Ruhel. Ruhel's another season one ride or die. He's my guy. When everyone wasn't showing up for a couple seasons, I never had to worry about Ruhel. He was always there. He's rocking on my retro team this season as well. Another former defensive MVP, and just truly a great guy. Really, you can't find a better guy. Who else? We got my man Hector, another old friend from the block. Last season was the first season he played. He played with us back in the day when we were playing 18U in Astoria. He was 20, I think, but we snuck him in. It was fine. He played with us last season. He also, because of work, he works on TV shows. He couldn't make it before, but he's excited to be here. He's a big defensive guy, so all your guys' defensive trash talk is really getting to him. He's ready to come tomorrow and shut everything down.
You
Other
got
than that,
Dwayne. You got Dwayne.
we have Dwayne. He got an ankle injury the first week. Everyone knows Dwayne because the best trash talk in the league, man. Farouk loves the guy. He always asked me to put him in the chat, and I said he doesn't want that, man. He doesn't know what he's ready. He doesn't know what he's asking for.
And then you
Dwayne
got
is
Akib. Then you
hilarious.
got Akib and Adlam.
Yeah, they've been my boys for years. I mean, you played with them in retro. They play retro as well. And they didn't have a team this season, and they wanted to run with me. And I was like, guys, there's always a space for you. We're happy to have you. And so they're running with us. Adil's a great giver, so we're happy to have him in that position. Akib's finally in really good shape, so we know we can use him well.
What? Okay.
Yeah, man, he's running around out there. He's
Okay.
slimmed down. He's making plays. I love it.
All right. Good stuff.
Yeah, we got a couple other guys, but they've been around. Guys like Matt played on the Browns for a couple years, then wanted to run with me. Uh, yeah, Nafi. Everyone knows Nafi.
All right. I hear you.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about quickly, and we're gonna jump into a recap and then some game day previews, and then we got to wrap this up soon too. So tell me about your CFL history, your relationship with Farouk, your relationship with Akib, you stepping in somewhat of an admin role, commission role, co-commission role. What's tell me about your CFL role. We know about your CBL role.
Yeah, so CFL basically, as soon as I came into the CBL world, I was like, Farouk, what's up with football, man? Like, me and my boys, we play football, we love football. You start something, I'm bringing something. Like, I promise you.
Saying
And
that you started,
no,
you're the
apparently other
reason
people
why.
have been asking too, but Farouk will tell you, I was badgering him for 5 years before he actually started it.
Wow,
That is absolutely a fact.
that is breaking
And
news for some of us.
yeah, I mean, if you've been, I mean, if you've been around, I was harking on him about it for a while. So as soon as he said we're gonna do it, I was like, I got a team, I got my boys, I'm bringing them in. It started, what was the first year? Maybe 2014. So I was still a little younger. I'd never brought a team by myself. So he was like, look, I'm happy to let you have a team. Why don't you take a veteran? So I took Pops on my team season one. That's always fun. Having Pops around is always a hoot and a half, as they say. Yeah, some would say we overachieved. We did what I thought we could do from the beginning. We made the finals. We ran into a Brown squad that had been doing this for, years before some of us were even born. And they got the better of us, but we had a great season. We had a lot of fun. And so that's what's kept us going.
All right, that's actually
Yeah,
very interesting.
as far as admin work, I'm always happy to help. Akib had a kid. He was busy. I stepped in to help a lot. and we're just trying to keep it rolling. Akib's a great guy. He came in season 2, I believe, and he's one of my closest friends right now. We talk every day, and anything I can help him with, I'm happy to help him with. But he does a lot of the heavy lifting himself. He likes to make sure everything's running smoothly, and we're doing our best to try and make that happen.
So you got pretty solid history here at CFL, and we could say
Yeah, man,
we can credit
I'm a
this to
Crescent
you.
lifer for sure.
All right, bet. So let's do a quick recap on last week's games. I'll run through the games. I'll kind of give you the lowdown of what I saw, and then we'll get your take on the previews for this game, and we'll go over what Chapito Jones has already put out and his prediction. So last week, the Interceptors played the Niners. I'm talking about the retro division, right? And
Yep.
the Interceptors, as advertised, these guys have been saying that they're scoring 40 points minimum, and they've scored 40 points in both weeks. And I expect possibly 40 from them again. There is some controversy around that team that the talent level is superior, is way far ahead of where it needs to be. But you know what? I say go let them play, man. Let them play. Let the other teams try to get better and beat them. So
Here's the problem with that, Usman. You have what we just talked about. Everyone's trying to outgun each other, and that in retro, you kind of want to tone that down a little bit.
well, let's see what happens this week. But they definitely beat the Niners pretty
They beat
easily.
us. They beat us. I not to overinflate my value, but I wasn't there, and it was our first game, so it's always tough to run your first game without the captain who kind of organizes everything. And they put up a good show. So I think we'll get into tomorrow.
So every other beat Iman. Iman's got to get it together. Like I said last time too, like they got to win a game for me to say they're gonna win a game. Like they haven't won a game yet.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Shaq has proven he knows how to do it. So
All right. So Powerpuff Caliphs, big game, big game. I was expecting a close game. I didn't think Caliphs were gonna beat the Powerpuff team. Although I think Farouk and some of the other guys, even Chapito, may have picked Caliphs to win. So as expected, my point of view, Powerpuff pulled out the win. It's 2-0. Caliphs. It was a close game. They didn't have Danny, but they came close. That game was actually a fun game to watch. It was, a lot of good plays. Tight game. So it was definitely one to watch there. Good. The U versus Pluto. This game, Pluto, what's going on? These guys, no defense whatsoever. They got
I believe you. I believe you know defense, but let me tell you something. Dre played with me last year, and I said this last year, and it remains true. Dre is the only player I've ever gone out and said, "Hey, can you come play for me?" He's a great guy. If Ken gives him his stamp of approval, I do too. And the guy can ball. Don't sleep on Dre, man.
hey, I'm not taking anything away from Dre, but I'm talking about Pluto first, right? Like if you want to be competitive in this league, you have to play defense. I know they have an offense, and I saw it. They were driving the ball. They'll get it together on offense, but you can't give up 40 points a game every single week. They've already given up 40 points in 2 weeks, and it looked like there was no one out there. They weren't even trying, but they got to get it together. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, shout out to
100%.
Dre and the U. DJ had 4 touchdowns last week. Dre, I think, threw for 5, ran one in. He just walked right over them. Like there was no stopping them. It was by landslide they won. So but yeah, we'll see what happens this week, right? Um, I do believe that we do emphasize defense, and we'll find out this week with the U, whether Dre's we saw he was, or who you say he is, or you know what I mean. So let's see. So I think we'll find out this week. But Ballers Niners, you weren't there, so I'm gonna give you a pass. For the most part, your guys weren't there either because they showed up to the game very late, and we expect the league to start putting out some rules on lateness, and some penalties that go around it. But basically, what ended up happening in that game is we had the ball because they were late. We won the coin toss. We got the ball first half, and as a penalty, they had to give us the ball the second half too. Um, that's not what made a that wasn't the difference maker in the game. I think we had a very big lead on them going into halftime, and it was a good game eventually. By second half, Max got it going. Um, they scored I think three back-to-back touchdowns, even went for a 2-point conversion, but it wasn't a close game by any means. And Omer had a bounce back game. He did do well in the red zone, and this time around he came out, threw for 6 touchdowns, ran one in. That's that was all him, and he made some really good plays. So, but let's get into this week and what we got going on in the upcoming games. We got
We
let's
start
see.
with a rematch.
Let's start with Interceptors Niners.
Yeah, absolutely. Interceptors had to make a little adjustment. They had a little too many Giants on that team. Of course, Farouk follows that up by bringing in his 23-year-old son, who probably runs a 4.5 or whatever. But that's Farouk. That he'll do that sometimes, so it's all good. I'm not worried. My guys are fired up. They're ready to see him again. They're trying to break his scoring streak. They will not let it become 3 games under their watch. They're excited.
All right. So who you got? You got Interceptors all the way in this, or you getting to ride with your team?
Ha ha! I'm gonna say, based on what I saw, I think both teams are gonna score. We got to work on our defense. It'll take a couple weeks, so I think it ends up being a high scoring game, and I think we pull it out 39-32.
Ooh, okay. Let's see it. Let's see it. I want to see it tomorrow. Then we got Calips and Niners. You're a busy man tomorrow.
Yeah,
You ready for the Calips? You ready for
I
AZ?
am ready. The thing about the Caliphs is they brought Danny back. He's making his Crescent return with his boys, and my guys have played him before. He's a great quarterback, very smart, knowledgeable of the game, but we'll have to see. I have most of my team tomorrow. Like we said, Nafi's dealing with the injury, so he probably won't be suiting up, but we're going to work on our defense. That's our number one goal. We got to get that tightened up and make sure we're humming come playoff time. So we're gonna start getting that sorted tomorrow.
So we're gonna see Nafi tomorrow?
I don't know. I'm not. I don't want to rush him, man. The guy's got a lot he's got to do. He's a basketball star first, so we got to make
All
sure
right.
that wrist is nice and healthy. And even if I knew, I wouldn't tell you. We're gonna let Az worry about it.
All right. Sounds good. Then we got I got to make a pick here too, right?
Yeah, you make the pick for this one.
Listen, knock on the Niners right now is boys got to get it together on defense. I think they're capable of it. I think you guys have the personnel, but I think they need a little bit of coordination. And part of it is probably if they get there a little earlier, they're a little bit more settled in, they probably will dominate the game a little bit. But if they're playing from like if they're trying to get organized during the game and they let up a couple of touchdowns to the Caliphs early, it's going to be tight. But you know what? I'm gonna take an upset alert here, and I'm gonna go ahead and pick the Niners to beat the Caliphs by 1 score. So let's get
All
it.
right, sounds good.
All right, I'm with you on this one.
All right.
Then we got Iman versus the Bots, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say this to 0-2 Iman. You gotta win the game for me to choose you to win. So the Bots only played one game, they lost. This is I think Akib and company.
This is Akib and Adil and Syed's team. Yeah.
All right, so my man Syed, I'm with him, and this is an easy one for me because Iman's just gotta win the game for me to at least say, all right, you guys are gonna do all right.
I
So,
think Iman's a team that's going to come together better later in the season. I think Omar Salama's got to settle in at quarterback and kind of learn how to do it. But I think early, I think I agree with you. They might struggle a little early. I think the late comeback for the Bots in their first game is going to help them in this game. And I think they pull this one out too.
all right, Ballers versus the U. So my man Ken's he played on the Ballers. He went and got a new team. Like we know he's got Dre. Like we know they put up 40 plus points last week. But we also know they lost week one to Powerpuff, right? That was Powerpuff they
Yeah.
lost to. And
Yes.
they put up 20 points, which is pretty decent. but it wasn't 40 points, right? So they put up 3 touchdowns against Powerpuff, but they lost the game. But yeah, listen, DJ's a difference maker. If DJ's on the field, the probability of the U winning the game is pretty high. But if DJ's not on the field, I don't know who is going to go down the field and catch those balls from Dre when he's throwing 40, 50 yards downfield. So, with that being said, we're not letting that happen tomorrow.
Haha.
So if he wants to come up with a new game plan, that's on him. But we're not trying to let DJ win this game single-handedly. So it's gonna have to happen through somebody else if it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's easier said than done. When
Yeah,
DJ's on the field, sometimes you worry about him too much, and Ken will just chunk play you to death.
yeah.
And if DJ's not there, it definitely changes the dynamic of the team. Um, yeah. You want me to pick this one since you're playing in it?
You already know who I'm picking.
I know who you're picking. I'm picking the U. I don't mean to be a hater, but I know Ken. I know Dre. I know what he can do. And no offense, I think whether DJ's there or not, I think they pull this one out by at least a score, maybe two.
Okay. All right. I'll hold you to it, Moody. Don't you worry.
Please do.
All right. Powerpuff Pluto last game, and quite frankly, this is gonna be a wash. Powerpuff.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Interestingly enough, like I'm not trying to say Pluto is like not capable, right? But they're a new team, and they just have to make sure they can maintain the team throughout the season, right? Like that's gonna be their challenge. Their challenge is not to go and win the championship game. Like if they don't go out and win the championship or have a deep run in the playoffs, their season is not a failure. Their season will be a failure if they can't keep composure and keep the guys together as a team. So I think they got to work on team building, and then they got to work on their game. And they have a good offense. They got to play defense too.
100%. I think their goal this season should be improvement. I think if they're getting better every game, they should feel good about what they're doing. They're playing guys who've been together and playing in this league a long time. And yeah, I'm with you. I don't think the goal this year should be we're going to win a chip. Of course it should be, but it should not be taken as a failure if you don't get it done.
So our guy, Chapito Jones, well-known secret undercover boss, put out an article. He's got the Interceptors over the Niners. Then he's got Calips over the Niners. Then he's got the U 38, Ballers 20. That's a big spread. So yeah, so the Ballers are the underdogs here. The U, you picked them,
Which you love.
Chapito Jones
You
picked them.
thrive in that role.
Then we got Iman. He's got Iman winning. Iman 26, Bots 22. And then Powerpuff expected to drop a 50 burger on Pluto. The mercy rule is definitely going to be in effect at some point in that game. So there you have it, man. That's game day preview for tomorrow. And I think we're definitely over our time, Moody. I appreciate having you. Any parting words
Yeah.
for the league, for Farouk particularly?
I just want to say I appreciate all the members in the league. Everyone's great to have around. We have a competitive time, but always a fun time. I have a lot of great moments from being around the league. You're involved in one of them, having to give you a sportsman award right after a scuffle. Wasn't on my bingo card last year, but that's what's great about Crescent, man. It has levels, you know what I mean? So I just appreciate all the members. I think we have a great brotherhood. I've made great friends from Crescent. That's what I really appreciate. I love playing football. It's my favorite sport. I love being with my friends and doing it. But above all, I love the community. It's a really great time. As far as Farouk, you're a fearless leader. I appreciate everything you do. You're not scoring on me tomorrow. Sorry, bud.
All right, let's get it, man. So, again, hydrate, stretch, do whatever you got to do to remain healthy on that field. Play it safe, go out, win games, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.